Jack writes a refreshingly short question here. Have you ever written a song about a fan? Fucking hell, no, I don't think so. I absolutely can't think that I have. No, my songs are usually about me or how someone makes me feel. I must have wrote songs about the fans, when I'm talking about the feeling of being on stage or playing a song, that's all about the fans. But I don't know. I mean, I guess The Hard Way was about being on the road, so that was about the experience of being there. But about a specific, no, never. I don't think I would. I don't write songs about any specific person. Unless it's a person that I respect, like Pepe Marcello from the Good Rats in King Rat. That was the song. If it's something like that, or a love song about someone, for the most part, I write songs about how things make me feel, or a conglomeration of people that share, for example, narcissism. And I can, combine a lot of these different personalities to make this one fantasy person. But yeah, no, I don't think I have. Hello, Nico from Italy here. Hello, Nico from Italy. I was listening to Potatoes in You. I love that record. And me too. And deeply enjoyed Looking for the One and Shame on Me. They both sound super heavy. How about making a proper acoustic metal record like no one has ever done before? Up-tempo, heavy down-picking riffs on acoustic guitars. I'm sure someone's done that before. Because, acoustic guitars do sound quite heavy. And heavy guitars usually don't sound very heavy. You listen to any heavy metal music, the guitars are really not heavy. I've had this conversation with a few producers in my time where that thin, waspy, angry bee in a backy jar sound are not heavy at all. It's the fucking drums and the bass that make heavy metal heavy. Guitar, you hit an acoustic guitar really hard and that sounds like a drum. That's fucking heavy. So, you get a good player with a good sense of rhythm and play riffs on an acoustic guitar, it's going to sound naturally heavier than on an electric guitar, even though the electric guitar sounds more in your face. When it's recorded with all the compression and everything, and it probably just gets smaller and smaller until it sounds just like something far away and annoying. That's what I find anyway. But I'm sure lots of people have made heavy acoustic albums. But I don't think I would like to do that. I don't think I'd like to make another acoustic album. I don't think I ever want to play another acoustic gig, to be honest, which now that I've said it, later today, I'm sure an offer will come in that I can't turn down for an acoustic show somewhere, and I'll say, it's full of shit. I'm doing another acoustic gig. Acoustic gigs are fun when you're on stage. Everything else apart from it isn't much fun because it feels like such an anticlimax. All these people are going to come down and there's going to be nothing there but me and this fucking weird box thing with strings on. And then something happens in that interaction between you being so stripped down and vulnerable and the audience being so close that is the acoustic experience. So I think in my mind I dislike acoustic gigs more than I actually dislike them. But I don't want to do another one. I certainly don't want to make an acoustic record, and I don't want to make a heavy metal record. So between those three elements, your question, would you make an acoustic heavy record? No, times 3. Not going to happen ever. Forget it. Yuki from Kyoto, Japan. If you could time travel any year, where would you go before man? Whatever was going on. Dinosaurs, fucking pterodactyls, you name it. I'd rather have that. I would have fucking gone back there. I haven't said that. Since man's been here, where would I go? I always say New York in the early 70s. That when the New York Dolls started, and you had Iggy and the Stooges and Alice Cooper, and then from that, the CBGB's thing, and Ramones, and then punk. So in between 73 and 78 of New York, I would have liked to have been a young man at those times. But as far as any time in history, I don't know, I just find the human race so fucking disappointing. Present company accepted, of course. But so history I find disappointing, and how stubborn and how irrational superpowers have been, or people with indeed any great power or a position of authority have been. It's just been, it's depressing for me to look back on how oppressive history was. Depressing from point of fact that it's still like that. So we've just been obstinate, brutish cunts for all time, and still are. And if anything, it's probably worse now because it hasn't got any better. So it probably is worse. We've got technology, but our sense of self and our connection with other people has got much worse since the advance of technology, obviously. Wars are now a lot more brutal, and people just don't seem to give a shit because they got no connection to their fellow human beings at all. So yeah, I would either go to New York when things were rough and ready and music was starting to gain some weird personality from which punk was born, or I'd go before man had set foot on Earth, and I'd go and hang out with fucking dinosaurs for the 5 to 10 minutes before I get stomped on or eaten by one of them. And I think that would be quite nice. That's what I would do with my time machine. Paul Houston. The place is Houston, but I'm presuming your surname is pronounced Houston. Paul Houston, dear Ginger, I have 3 questions. Question number 1, does it resonate with you that you are important to people, fans? Not really. Is it weird that people might say you wrote their favourite song or album? Yes. Yes, it is weird, but it's lovely. Normally those type of things are for massive artists like the Stones or Dylan or whoever. Not really. There's a lot of huge artists that haven't wrote anyone's favourite song. U2, Chili Peppers. No. Anyway, I could go on for you. You've been in my life since 1988. I first saw you with the Choir Boys and followed ever since. Tonight Writes is fast becoming my favourite Wildhearts album. 30 years in. Incredible. Fucking hell. That's question 1. Okay, Paul, I'll address question 1. Does it feel weird when people say allude to the fact that I might be important? Yeah, I'm not, basically. I think it's, like I said, important to have a sense of purpose, and that is a relationship with yourself. I don't have any idea how many people are even watching this. I never have an idea how many people buy my albums. I just released them, and the last one did so well that they took the option to do another album and extend the deal further. That's great, because I wouldn't have predicted that it was going to do really well, because I haven't got a clue how many people are buying it. And I still don't care. I still don't know how many the last album said sold. I'm just happy that it sold that many, because we are now doing another one. And I'm really happy that you think Satanic Rites might be your favourite, because I've got a fucking sneaky suspicion the next one is going to be your favourite. I think a lot of people are going to say that the next one is their favourite Wildhearts album. Why do I think that? Because I do. Because I'm fucking clairvoyant. Actually, I'm a bit clairvoyant, but not with that. I'm very confident with it. It's a real band effort. It's got a real band sound, real band vibe. We're taking it where I've always wanted to take albums. So if it's a heavy part, it's going to be fucking brutal. And if it's a beautiful part, it's going to be really beautiful. I always like that about the Wildhearts, is that we add different flavours. It's just a lot of the time, you just go in and it just all sounds like, let's just fucking run through it and get back out on the road where the drugs are plentiful. Not the case in this one. Now, I think the next album is going to be a lot of people's favourite. But is it weird to know that people have wrote their favourite song? No, that isn't actually weird, because a lot of really small artists have wrote my favourite songs. One of my favourite songs is that one, which is also that one, My Old Friend the Blues by Steve Earle. And I've yet to meet someone who says, what's that on your neck? And I say, My Old Friend the Blues by Steve Earle. And they go, oh, what's that then? Is it a blues song? They've never heard it. Possibly the greatest song ever written. So I get that smaller artists can write a song that resonates with people more than the big artists. Because like I said previously, these big artists write a big song and there's a lot of self-important people telling them that they've got to write more songs like that. So I can see why a great artist can stop writing songs that really touch you, and a smaller artist don't, because they don't have the same creative concerns. Pretty much all the songs, I mean, there's big songs that have really changed my life, obviously, but there's an awful lot of really small songs that probably no one's heard that really have been important to me. So I get it. I get that. That bit's not weird. Being important or anything like that is fucking weird, and it's a distortion of reality, because you're not. You're just on this side of the deal, up on the stage and stuff, but you're no better or worse. And some people pretend or like to think that they're better. And some people mistakenly think that they're worse than the person up there. But it's not true. We're all exactly the fucking same. And that's the truth. Well, this is part 2 of the question by Paul Houston. Are you, or have you been difficult to work with over the years, as many people have passed through the Wildhearts doors and your solo project? Yes, I have been known to be difficult, because I want something. I've written these songs. I can hear them in my head. I want it to be a certain way. If I'm working with someone in the studio and they say, well, I don't think it should be like that, we're going to have words. If it comes to an argument where one of us has to win, I'm going to fucking win because it's my song and it's my head that I hear that song in. And you're just taking that song and you're projecting it somewhere that you think you know what the song's about. I know what the song's about because it's my fucking song. It's a bit like two people arguing who's got the best looking fucking baby. They're both right. The baby's beautiful to the person that fucking made it. And the song's my song and it's beautiful to the way. So I've fallen out with a few engineers and producers in my time who've just said, well, we don't need that bit. I'm like, I think you'll find we do need that bit. So I imagine they go away going, oh yeah, he's really hard to work with. He fought tooth and nail for this one bit. I thought it was bullshit. Not realising, yeah, but it was fucking really important to me and not that important to you. Musicians, I can imagine thinking I'm hard to work with because if you come into the studio and you don't know the song and you're pissed out of your head and you can't be bothered, yeah, we probably are going to have a falling out. You've got so little respect for the songs that I've written. What the fuck are you even here for? In fact, get out and I'll play your fucking part. I want the music to be great. I don't always work with musicians who care about the music being great. They care about a lot of things, but it's not always the health of the song or the how cohesive an album's going to be. So yeah, I will fight for things in the studio, but I won't do it maliciously without any creative and personal reasoning, and I won't do it lightly. So if it's a case of I like that chord, I like it to be in that chord, I'll very rarely push the boat. I'll capitulate. I'll say, you know what, it means not very much to me. I'm fine to compromise. And there are certain things that I won't compromise. And it might be artwork. I've worked with artists, so I say, can you make this? And they go, okay. And they make that. And I go, okay, that's great, but it's not that. Can you make that? And then they'll make something else that doesn't look like that. And I'll be like, I've asked you to do a job. I'm going to give you money for doing this job. Can you please do the job that I've asked you to do it? Well, I prefer this way. And then you go, well, okay then, I'll see you. Oh, have a good life. And then they'll go on going, oh, that guy's fucking impossible. So yeah, I think anyone creative who creates things with a vision to its completion probably can be labelled as someone who's difficult to work with, but only because it means more to them. And that, to me, should be obvious. But it's not. And not a lot of people who call themselves creative really are creative. And I've seen some people who just, and it's been me a lot of the time in the studio back in the day where I just didn't give a shit. I was just there because I had to be and I was drunk and couldn't give a fuck. And I've seen that in people. So the studio environment that you see in movies isn't always the studio environment that you hear on records. In fact, the people in the studio aren't always the person on the record. And if you heard the record with what they were wanting to put on, as in that's complete in their idea, regardless of the fact that it's playing the wrong fucking chords, that's good enough for them. If you heard that record, you wouldn't have fucking liked it. Apart from the fact it wouldn't have come out because no one would have fucking paid for it. Honestly, it's not this fucking, we're not the fucking Monkeys or the Beatles in there. Sometimes there's one guy fighting tooth and nail to get this album finished, and there's another guy who couldn't give less of a fuck. Yeah, am I difficult to work with in that situation? You fucking bet I am. I want the album to be finished. With previous incarnations of the Wildhearts, did they ever present songs that were vetoed out by you? Has anyone ever vetoed out one of your songs? I don't remember ever vetoing out anyone's song in the Wildhearts. I would have recorded it as a B-side. It might have been someone's favourite. We've recorded a few songs I thought were a bit crummy, but because someone else wrote it, I'm like, fucking we'll do it. I'm sure we'll make it sound good. And then that song's gone on to be someone's, I like that song. I'm like, fair enough, that's good. I don't veto people's song. I can't remember ever anyone coming up with a finished song, and me going, that is rubbish, or that is not what we want to do. I can't even imagine a scenario where that would ever happen. Have songs of mine been vetoed? Yes. Some of them have been kicked out, and I still don't know why, but it was a long time ago. I'm not going to go and revisit the songs. And then some of them have been, I've fought for the song, and the band have hated the song, and that's happened a bunch of times, actually. That's happened with entire albums. Fucking End is Nameless. No one liked that album, apart from me. And then subsequently everyone said, oh yeah, now I like it. But at the time, that was a fight I had to fucking really work hard to win. One of them, I remember, was a Wildhearts song called Mazel Tov Cocktail, and everybody hated it. I remember Rich laughed at it. It sounds like fucking status quo. We're not doing that. And I remember going, but I can hear us doing it. I know it's not typical of us, but if I just came in and every song sounded like Sucker Punch, then everyone would have been happy, apart from me, the guy who writes the fucking songs. But I remember this song just going, but I can't understand what you don't like. And I've had this a lot with songs, but especially with this one. And I pushed for it, and I was like, no, I'm going to pull rank here. Fucking funny, I think back, I'm going to pull rank here. It's like, we're going to record this song, or we're not going to have any fucking songs to write, because we'd only have fucking 9 songs and not 10, because no one else has brought any fucking songs in. But yeah, I had to fight tooth and nail for that one. Mazel Tov, and it's fucking one of the best songs live. It really is one of my favourite. Every time I go into that riff, it's fucking great. I remember going to this riff and people laughing in the studio, fucking laughing at it. It's obviously fucking funny now, but at the time it was just like, no, feeling a bit self-conscious about it, but I do believe in this one. Where I should have just been, fuck you, write a fucking song or you're playing it. If you don't want to play, I'll fucking play it, you cunt. But I don't work like that. And I'm sure people think I work like that, but I don't. But yeah, that was one of the ones that people were happy getting rid of that one. Arjun asks, do you prefer big chaotic festivals or small sweaty clubs? Festivals, I would say, just because they're big and chaotic, and I like chaos. I like being around a lot of, random madness. But then I like sweaty clubs because you get to meet people. When the big gigs you don't. Clubs you'll get to meet people, which is obviously very nice, meeting the people that are paying for you to do this for a living. That's very nice. And also I like being close to people. I like having a microphone and being close to people, which is not the case when you play festivals. You got a microphone and then there's this huge fucking chasm of nothing. A few photographers and a few cameras and fucking, fuck all. And then there's the first row about 50 foot away. And you just feel like you're performing all of the time at a festival. Whereas in a venue, you feel like you're connecting, which is way more comfortable, more instant, more gratifying. So there's that. So there you go. I would say I like talking between the songs more in small clubs, but I like the experience more in festivals because it's fun. And there's loads of bands. You get to meet loads of people that you haven't seen for ages and in other bands and meet new people backstage and stuff. Everyone seems to be in a kind of festival mode where, it's not just about you. And I think, most, if not all bands get that. But yeah, the smaller places. I really miss playing smaller places. I did loads of smaller places with my acoustic shows, but I haven't played electric in small places for a long time. So that's why the tour in December is going to be smaller places like 500 cap. Because I miss that. I miss being on stage and being able to hear everything. That's another thing about playing small places. You can hear everything. The sound, you get your stage volumes on stage, and there are sweet spots. And obviously I'm not using in-ears. So there's sweet spots where you can hear everything, or I need to hear more guitar. I can walk 3 steps that way and get it. Whereas festivals, you can't hear fuck all. You're just basically winging it. And festivals are always kinder to bands who are on tour because they've got it all down anyway. Whereas any band who's looking forward to playing a festival for ages, it's a one-off gig, are probably going to fucking have a rotten time. Yeah, they've both got things. But I'm really looking forward to playing smaller venues in December. Really looking forward to it. I can't even tell you how much love playing with this band. When we're in rehearsal, there's an energy that when you go out on stage and bigger things, it's not there. It's a different energy and it's great. But that small rehearsal energy, you get that in smaller stages and smaller clubs. So I'm really, really looking forward. But I like them both.